Tonight, Ghana Education Service preliminary investigations into the brawl that we saw among some students in the Central Region implicate non-students in that brawl that left many hospitalized, prompting swift action from authorities, with police arresting 3 suspects and vowing to bring all perpetrators to justice.
Other footage with people in one or two people in uniform, and our findings, for now, though premature, indicates that they are not students.
The National Parent-Teacher Association has criticized school authorities for dragging their feet on implementing the new student code of conduct. We delve into this disturbing incident right here on Top Story, brought to you always by Telecel, connecting energies, holy insecticide spray and coil. Enjoy holy sleep, and also by Shield Pension Trust, into the future with you. This is live on Love 99.5 FM in Kumasi, on ATL 100.5 in Cape Coast, and also on Radio Max in Takrady. Well, tonight, Ghana Education Service says preliminary investigations reveal non-students were involved in a clash between Obetchere and Swedro Business School students. Now, 3 suspects have so far been arrested by the police following a violent confrontation that hospitalized several students and shook the academic community. The Ghana Police Service has condemned the violence on Facebook, assuring the public that perpetrators will be made to face justice as investigations continue. The Central Regional Police GES Director, Dr. Juliet Nyamiche Otami, says they are working with police to investigate the matter.
They made some few arrests, and so they are still investigating the matter. We too, for GES, we start our district directors, and investigators will also go to the various schools to ascertain the velocity of it, and also come up with their findings. And we discipline idiots. So that's where we have reached with that case.
How many people have been arrested so far? You make mention of an arrest.
Yeah, they made an arrest of about 3 people as of yesterday. That was my information that I gathered.
But in the video, we didn't see teachers around. What is the information telling you in terms of whether teachers were present around where the issue happened or not?
Actually, normally it is at the field that the teachers are. They bring their students and they are with them. But when you look at the various cities, I don't know which one you are referring to, but those that we had where they had these violent incidents going on, you saw the police chasing after them. And some of them, it was outside, so it was a bit of, a chaos situation. And so identifying teachers will be difficult. That one is also something we are still investigating. Because, when it happens like that, you could see how people also coming in. So even, I don't want to go there, but it's difficult to ascertain whether all those that were around are students.
No, I'm talking about the 3 people who have been arrested so far. Are they students?
For now, they claim they are students.
Okay.
I'm using the word claim because there were other footage with people in one or two people in uniform, and our findings, for now, though premature, indicates that they are not students. And,
So that was the Central Regional Director of Education, the Dr. Otami, speaking to me earlier on the AM show on Joy News Channel. Now, the DCE of the area of Ewutu Senya West, Kalala Nyamiche, has also been speaking on this disturbing development.
A sad event happened on Thursday at Swedro School of Business, and 2 students were stoned on Thursday and Friday too. The video that we saw on Vera was on Friday. The nurses and the doctors at Swedru Government Hospital and Obrachwe just compound have been able to calm the situation down. So currently, as we speak, investigation is currently ongoing. When I heard the videos,
So that is the DC for the area there. But what about the Education Ministry? Deputy Minister for that ministry, Dr. Clement Park, has been providing some details on the student who was injured in the clashes.
We are also updated with the information that one student who was cornered and was severely assaulted is currently receiving treatment at the hospital. But let me sound this warning to students that the days when students felt they could misconduct themselves, engage in acts of violence and lawlessness, misconduct themselves, and go free are over. We are very determined to make sure that students act in a civilized and decorous manner, especially so when they meet for what we believe should be healthy extracurricular activities. So let this warning go to all students.
Meanwhile, the National Parents Council has criticized school authorities for its slow response in enforcing the recently drafted Code of Conduct for Students. Irene Sam speaks for the council.
It is very, very disturbing and heartbreaking to see our ward involved in such a misconduct. We are in the various homes thinking that our wards are in school, studying to, change their career path, only for us to see them on social media misbehaving. Conducting themselves in this manner. So our initial comment would be that this is so breaking and very disturbing, and we shouldn't even, continue with this at all. We should always condemn such acts and see how best we can collaborate and make sure that such things do not happen again.
Irene, you're a parent, and so is Iyao. What do you make of the response from the two schools?
Well, let me say that, holistically, sporting activities is healthy. It should promote healthy competition and then collaboration and cooperation. That we failing, and it shouldn't even come to this point of, and misconducting themselves in this way. Now, what we make of it is that there is a way we need to go about some of these things. First of all, the code of conduct that we are talking about, it doesn't really give full autonomy to the schools. So everything they have to wait for GES to come in before they can take an action to nip the situation in the bud. Now, most of the schools too are also blaming parents that we too are not bringing our wards in the way that they should go. So we are saying that all of us together, we have to see to some of these things. The parents, all of us, we have to work out in the various rooms.
Well, so earlier, just before I brought in that sound, you had the Irene Sam, who is a member of the National Parents Council. They have been speaking on this. But let me bring in the DC for the area, Igan Kalala Nyamiche, who is joining us on the phone lines now. I'm grateful to you, Honorable, for joining us. Now, what more do you know? We've been told earlier that investigations are being conducted into this particular incident. What have the police been telling you about their findings so far?
Yes, so good afternoon to your listeners. Currently, as we speak, the situation is calm. The police, I just left Obrachwe SHS, which fall within my jurisdiction. So to update your listeners, the third incident did happen on Thursday. And Friday too, it continued. So what happened was that around Thursday in the afternoon, then the head mistress called me that there's this Strasbourg student shown to our student, that is the Obrachwe SHS. So suddenly, within the next 10 minutes, she called that one of our guys is injured. So I told her she would send the boy to Strasbourg Government Hospital. Within the next 5 minutes, then she called back that there's also another one injured. Then I said he should follow up with the first one.
Okay.
The second one, the first aid team on campus should make sure that they will be able to take the issue up.
So how many students in total have been injured in this?
Yes, currently as we speak, about 8 of them, but 3 are in critical condition.
If you say critical condition, describe it to us. What sort of injuries do they have?
If you look at the damage, is that great?
Okay.
The impact is, let me put it that great. Yes.
Well, have you been told about the injuries that they've suffered?
Yes. So that is what I'm saying. That currently, if you look at the children involved, there were 8, but the play is very, very, very bad, and I saw.
Okay. So you've not.
But we'll be able to, with assistance from the Swedro Government Hospital and that of the Brawl Children's Compound doctors and nurses, we'll be able to treat them, and currently we have discharged them, of which today they came to Accra for proper scrutiny and investigation, because as soon as the videos pop up, or when I heard the reportage, I also forwarded the videos to Director General of Education and the Regional Director. So today they were sanctioned to come to Accra for further scrutiny and investigation.
Who were sanctioned to come to Accra?
Yes, Regional Director of Education, the head teacher of Swedro Secondary School, Swedro Business School, and that of the Brawl
SHS
Secondary School. Yes.
Okay. We understand the police made some arrests yesterday. Have you had any update on that?
Yeah, so currently they've arrested some people, and we are here to, because this is a student affairs issue. You can't just bump into the school compound and start arresting people. With the grace of God today, the director of CID also came himself. We had a MUSEC meetings, and because the head teacher was at a meeting at Accra, we couldn't do much. So we are waiting patiently for him to come. Or even as of yesterday, we have given him 24 hours to produce all the children, because the children are under the care or under the caretaker of the head teacher and the teachers. So we are just waiting for him to come from Accra. Then we'll continue on from where we took it from yesterday.
Director of CID, you mean from the National Police Headquarters?
Yes, came around today. Yes.
Okay, and those who have been arrested, do you know the number, and who are they?
No, I don't know the number. For now, I don't know the number.
Okay, and so with what you've asked the headmaster to produce the student,
yes.
those who committed the atrocities we saw on the video.
Yes.
Okay, and you've given him 24 hours to do that.
Yes.
Okay.
We could have done it today, but because of it's GES, and GES, there are processes that they need to go and all those things. We have the code and ethics, banning all those things. So we needed to just wait for the head teachers to come for us to continue our investigations and whatever it is. So I want to use your platform, your medium, to promise your listeners. There's no way we'll let the issue die just like that. So they should keep trust in us, and we'll do everything possible to at least ascertain the issue.
But where was your security when all of that were happening? Because we know that when it comes to public gathering, the police would have to be there to offer some security. Not so.
It's quite unfortunate. It's quite unfortunate because for the answer I'm picking, last year there was a similar event, but they didn't tell anybody. And if you listen to the Obrache SHS head teacher, she's new and she was briefed. So my worry is that she could have told me. It's right unfortunate, but this is where we are, and we'll do everything possible within our distance to safeguard the interest of the children and the people.
Okay, I'm grateful to you, for speaking to us. We'll come to you again for us to get the details on of whatever will be happening. Grateful.
Noted.
He is the DC for O2 Senior West. Egan Kalala Nyamichede. We've been joined by the former Deputy Education Minister and MP for Asin South, Reverend John in Team Kojo. Reverend, I mean, I'm sure when you heard this, you were disturbed. How do we nip this in the bud where a student would show gross indiscipline and would not mind, however, they are attacking their friend, but they will do that in a barbaric manner? How do we deal with it?
Thank you very much, Kojo. In fact, it's really disturbing the news of this incident of attacks on students and properties during the interzonal sports competition. My prayers are with all the injured who are receiving treatment. As a matter of fact, over the weekend, I bumped into a hospital where I was visiting a relative, and around that same time, there was a victim, a student who had been assaulted very badly, receiving treatment at the same hospital. For some reason, I won't disclose the details. But this is how alarming indiscipline in our schools is becoming. No one must politicize this. It will call for collective action for us to nip this in the bud. But in all of this, we have code of conduct. 2, one on the part of students' behavior, what is expected of students during sports competitions, and also the other that sets out the conduct expected and the supervision expected from teachers who ought to supervise. On the part of the teachers, whenever you are sending out students to another school or for a joint sports competition, the rule is that for every 20 students, you must have one teacher supervising them. So we need to go into this, investigate it properly, because it's not just the Brawl incident, not the Swedro Center incident. There's also one that happened in Cape Coast. There's also another that happened in Asay North, in Asay North Secondary Technical, which resulted in the damage to Asay in Suta SHS bus. A brand new bus I got for them whilst we're in office. And so we need to look at this comprehensively. It's very clear that the pockets of disturbances in Central Region this year was quite disturbing. Let's go into it. I'm also informed that in some of the centers, indeed, the authorities invited police even before the contest and the competition. So it's surprising that chaos will erupt and security men will lose control or may not have what it takes to nip it in the bud. All these interrogations must go on, but the broader consequence must apply. There must be ramifications for people's inactions, and there must be ramifications for the indiscipline on the part of students. If the police is allowed to do their work, and through the juvenile system, arrests are made, prosecutions are made appropriately, and people who are culpable, found culpable, face consequences, including dismissals, including jail terms, possibly in accordance with the juvenile procedures. It will serve as deterrence for the student to know that next year and the subsequent sports competition, you will have to be of good behavior. You have to behave yourself. You have to be of good sportsmanship. You have to exercise self-control, and you have to demonstrate discipline. We need to show that something is working beyond statements that are issued. Because year on year, some of these pockets of indiscipline occur, and then it ends up with just statements. People get injured. Nobody pays for the consequence, and then it happens again. And then teachers, some of those who become negligent, fail to supervise their students, and they go all out there unleashing mayhem, also get away with it. Okay. So let consequences apply. And in this particular matter, the Parliament will take interest in it. I will be calling for a joint committee between the Education Committee and the Defense and Interior Committee to look into it, so that we tackle the aspect of security, and then we tackle the aspect of supervision, control, and the code of conduct on the part of GES enforcement, so that we can put these together and resolve these matters to ensure that it becomes a thing of the past, where students will have to go for sports, and then it ends up becoming violent. And we just thank God that nobody lost their lives. But we don't want to sit down and not nip this in the bud until a day where sadly somebody will suffer some very grave injuries, and somebody might even lose their lives in the process. So sanctions must apply. People must be held responsible, including the students who will be found culpable.
I'm grateful to you, Reverend John Inti, for joining us here. He is a former Deputy Education Minister. Let me bring in Dr. Peter Party-Anti, Executive Director of the Institute for Education Studies. Doc, I mean, where have we come from to get here, or what possibly has contributed to getting us here, where students brazenly attack teachers, attack their colleagues, students, without blinking an eye?
Well, we have been reactive instead of being preventive. We have treated these issues as normal school disciplinary issues. We do not have a very robust and comprehensive policy direction in dealing with indiscipline in our schools. And because of that, the average student who, under normal circumstances, would not get himself involved in this, have all been initiated into undertaking these activities. What I mean is that within the school system, there are very extreme stubborn students, and then there are those who are very calm. What you normally focus on is to ensure that the average student, the one who is in the middle of the two, does not get himself involved in these activities. But because of the way we are handling, or we've been handling previous issues, you listen to you interviewed the policeman, and he told you that this happened last year, and nothing happened. So to the students, this is a normal activity that is treated like one of those indiscipline issues that happens in our schools. And that is what has energized and gingered them to continue to do this. And that is why I personally like the approach of the CID director. The manner she is handling this is the way to go. And I think that video of her interrogating the headmaster and giving the headmaster 24 hours should go viral for every single secondary school student to know that you will not be spared if you find yourself engaging in any kind of misbehavior in this manner.
I mean, someone was saying that doing away with corporal punishment, quote unquote, where students in the past, you'll be made to weed, you'll be made to scrub, you'll be caned when you falter, or you go against the code of conduct of a student. It's probably why we are here. I mean, to what extent do you agree with that, and what should be the remedy?
So I would take one, that is caning. I think for the reading and scrubbing, I'm one of those who think that the stubborn boys should be allowed to scrub the gutter of the girls. I mean, in front of the girls' dormitory, and then that is now kind of something that it's now deterrent. And students will technically know what to do that. But let's take the caning. Kojo, do you think that looking at the things these students are doing, if a teacher is holding a cane, won't these students be able to take the cane from the teacher and cane him with it? And I'm saying this because I have had examples of students taking canes from teachers and hitting them with it. Happening in central region, some of the schools in the central region. So for me, I don't think that the answer is the caning. I think that one of the problems that we are facing is associated with the old mode of dealing with these kinds of indiscipline. We are dealing with students that are now called the Gen Z. The kind of information, the kind of environment that they are being brought up is different from the kind of environment that we used to have. We will not have that kind of boldness to approach a teacher, to even talk to the teacher, not even to talk about guarding to go and beat up the teacher. But this is what the students are doing now. And so you don't look for a solution like caning. No. You look for a solution that will be more building. Okay, and that is why I think that in our system, we don't take certain things seriously. For example, look at the nature of our counseling system. Look at the support system in terms of behavioral development in our schools. We don't have all these things. But we are interested in the student getting 8, 7 ones, and so on and so forth. So at the end of the day, we are able to build the cognitive and the intellect of the students, and then their behavior, the very kind of attitude that is very crucial for them to fit into the society. We pay less attention to it. So if we really want to deal with this, I think that we should not be so much related with the corporate punishment, especially when it comes to change. I think that we should focus on behavioral information, and that means that we should put our money where our mouth is. train more people to engage in counseling in our secondary schools.
Close to 72 hours after the incident happened, the student who committed this heinous crime have not been identified, forcing the CID to say produce them within 24 hours. Doesn't it tell how these students feel that they can do things and go scot-free, and who really must be held accountable for that?
In the school system, I think the honorable former minister, deputy minister, was talking about it. And I've also had the cause to complain about security in our secondary schools. You know that if you're entering in a secondary school, the highest form of security is the one who sits at the entrance and opens doors, the gates, and then closes for cars to enter. And sometimes they try to interview and ask you who you are looking for. That is the highest form of security in our institutions. A parent who takes the ward to a secondary school believes that place is supposed to be a safe haven for the child.
Okay.
And therefore, if I'm a parent and I'm going through social media and I see my child being stoned like a petty thief, I should be very worried. And that is a failure in respect of the school authority.
Okay.
If you are taking kids out in this manner, you need to provide them with the kind of protection that every individual needs. And so you don't take one or two teachers to accompany students that are sometimes about 100, 200. It means that there is some kind of defect there.
Okay.
And so you will need to ensure that those kinds of, directives and all those things are enforced. And for me, I think the responsibility lies with the headmaster.
Okay.
He needs to produce their students for them to face the law.
I'm grateful to you. Dr. Peter Ante is Executive Director of the Institute for Education Studies. This has been Top Story. My name is Samuel Kojo. Up next is a News Night.
You know how much moms always say too much of everything is bad? But there's one too much mom actually approves of. Telecel's Too Much Broadband Bundle. This season, all you have to do is buy the 150 Ghana Cedis Too Much Broadband Bundle in addition to your main broadband plan and get 150% bonus data. That's right.
Simply buy the 150 Ghana Cedis Telecel Too Much Bundle in addition to your main broadband plan and receive 150% bonus data. Dial *900 hash, use the Telecel Play app or visit the Telecel website to buy now.
Telecel, connecting energies.
Couldn't sleep at night. Mosquitoes will be whining my ears, bugging me all night long. Till I got a remedy. Now I'll be spraying them away with holy insecticide spray. I go spray them away with holy insecticide spray. When I sleep, me dana mada with holy insecticide spray.
Holy mosquito coil, holy multi-purpose insecticide spray. Ghana Kron Kron. For bulk purchase, call 0302 681582. This advert is FDA approved.
Hello, good evening and welcome to News Night. This bulletin is live on Joy 99.7 FM in Accra, Love 99.5 FM in Kumasi, and on over 30 affiliates across the country. Coming up tonight, tomato traders map red zones in Burkina Faso as they await final confirmation to head back. Barely 2 weeks after 8 Ghanaians were killed in a terrorist attack as tomato shortages hit markets and eateries consider possible price increases.
We warned our drivers, our traders. A lot of towns and villages in the northern part of Burkina Faso are marked red. When I say third portion is marked red, meaning there is danger over there.
We have details from the 37 military hospital where some of the injured tomato traders are receiving treatment, with several still requiring surgery.
Only God knows what would have happened to them if government was unable to bring them here on time. And so we thank you. We hope that you continue to take care of them very well so that they recover fully and go about their businesses.
Also ahead, Electricity Company of Ghana attributes widespread power outages to transformer failures, citing substation failures and upgrades in parts of Kumasi and Accra.
We experienced some cable blasts in the Ashanti region, which affected about 60 to 70% of our customers. I'm sure within some few moments, they should be partially back online.
Meanwhile, the Public Utilities Regulatory Commission has disputed ECG's claims, stating that transformer failures are not the primary cause of outages. We'll hear from them shortly.
Also coming up tonight, Minority accuses the acting Deputy Chief Executive Officer in charge of Finance and Administration at the Ghana Cocoa Board of allegedly diverting funds for his company Atlas Commodities at the expense of the produce buying company.
You cannot benefit from the same system that you yourself are supervising. You cannot create a system whereby you will deprive the state from operating so that the state can also pay its workers.
Details as he calls for a full-scale investigation into the issue, further alleging that Atlas Commodities is currently using warehouses belonging to PBC for its operations.
In business,
government highlights significant turnaround of the economy after a year taking over, with majority of key indicators dropping to record levels.
In sports,
Kojo reclaimed top 4 spot as Prince Osu targets GPL title push.
We've got the latest of these and many other stories coming up in the next 60 minutes. Join us and be a part of this show by sending us a WhatsApp on 055 11 11 997. My name is Kenneth. Gyasi.
My name is Ofori.
Details shortly.
Tonight, tomato traders are exercising caution, mapping out high-risk areas in Burkina Faso as they await clearance to resume their trips. This comes after a terrorist attack 2 weeks ago claimed the lives of 8 Guineans, disrupting tomato supplies and potentially driving up prices in Ghana. Traders have been advised to avoid an identified security hotspot, with leader of the Tomato Association, Eric Nanatifo, stating that members are suspending travel to volatile areas until further notice.
We warned our drivers, our traders, a lot of towns and villages in the northern part of Burkina Faso are marked red. When I say third portion is marked red, meaning there is danger over there. So we will be giving them all the list of the names of the various towns that they shouldn't be able to enter into that town. So this is a sign of warning that is given to them. So we are here to listen to the rest of the Baratra talks that they had. Then our foreign minister and then Burkina counterpart have.
So that is the leader of the Tomato Traders Association, Eric Nanatifo. Meanwhile, at 37 military hospitals, some of the injured tomato traders are receiving treatment. Trade Minister Elizabeth Ofosuejare says they will all or are all responding to treatment.
We are excited at what we have seen. In the list, the patients have told us how they have been taken care of. Today, I'm here with my colleague Minister for Transport, and then my deputy. I'm also happy and privileged to be here by the leadership of GPRTU, the leadership of Tomato Sellers Association, and some of the survivors. We are here to visit the people who got injured during the Burkina Faso accident. We've wished them well. We pray that they recover fully under your care. It's unfortunate, and we condemn this in no uncertain terms. I don't know how buying and selling of tomato can end somebody's life. Peaceful people going about their business. But we hope that we are able to do tomato all year round so that this will not happen. We pray for peace in that space also, because peaceful people going about their business will end in a hospital with this kind of injury. We are lucky to have this kind of care here at 37 Military Hospital. Only God knows what would have happened to them if government was unable to bring them here on time. And so we thank you. We hope that you continue to take care of them very well so that they recover fully and go about their businesses. Nothing more, because at the bedside, the doctors explained to us how they are doing well and how they are stable and how there is no cause for alarm. And that's always the thing I want to hear. If the doctor says you are fine indeed. If they tell you are not even fine, you'll be fine because your doctor says you are fine. And if you see their faces and how they...
Well, the uncertainty around the tomato trade is already impacting sales. Let's take you to the Malamata and Agbebloshi markets in Accra, where my colleague Hannah Odami reports a surge in the price of the commodity.
The high cost of tomato on the market has led to lengthier negotiations between sellers and traders. The traders have this explanation.
Tomatoes so there is abundance of tomatoes in Burkina Faso, but the traders are scared to go there now due to the killing incident. We therefore plead with the president to resolve this issue immediately, as this will help reduce the current tomato prices.
They also plead with the consumers to understand their plight.
She is pleading with consumers to understand them when they mention the prices.
Consumers like Joseph Ansah, who was touched by the explanation of the traders, bought the tomatoes without much plea.
It's very difficult because when you see the quantum that they gave it to me as a 50 cedis, it's very hard. But how am I going to do? It's the situation, so I have to manage it like that.
But Auntie Lizzie unfortunately wasn't successful with her negotiation and had to leave without taking off tomatoes on her market list.
Was it 35? They said I'm 25. Or 25
asked for a reduction from 35 cedis to at least 25 cedis, but she refused, and I can't buy it because it's too expensive, so I'm leaving without the tomatoes.
Some sellers who cannot afford the new price hike have opted out of the tomato business for now, hoping to return to it when the situation normalizes.
I have been selling tomatoes since I was young, but I have stopped now due to the current price hike. When the situation normalizes, I'll go back to the tomato trading business.
For those who still want to travel to purchase tomatoes beyond the shores of the country, they ask for protection.
Na Burkina na se kwantintin na ye kono etuo betimi atwa anase beba fema anka ye ni beje ye bekọ kwan so a ka bia ekọ a yama no escort BS5.
He is suggesting that some police officers are allowed to travel with them when they are going outside the country to purchase the tomatoes.
For Joy News, I am Hannah Odame.
My colleague Gemma Apia earlier visited an eatery here in Kokomlemle in Accra and reports that food vendors are also feeling the impact.
Auntie Jane is a popular food joint here at Kokomlemle, and tomato is one of the major ingredients that she uses in preparing her dishes. So from stew to soup and all the other meals here, she uses tomatoes. So following the concerns that there's shortage of tomatoes on the markets because of the attack in Burkina Faso, I'm here to have a conversation with Auntie Jane to find out from her whether she's experiencing that when she goes to the market and how that is affecting the prices of her food.
There are no tomatoes on the market. You suffer a lot before you can get some on the market. If you are not a regular customer of a tomato seller, she will not give you some. You have to be her customer before she can consider and give you.
In first, no, na tomatoes. How much do you buy it for?
First, no,
I used to buy 200 cedis worth of tomatoes, and it could last me for 2 days. But I bought 300 cedis yesterday, and that was very little that I used on Monday. I didn't even add tin tomatoes. I haven't increased the prices of my food. I don't want to lose my customers. We knew that this would happen, but we have to keep our customers, so if we need to adjust certain things, we will do.
Well, the data on Ghana's tomato imports is not encouraging at all, as nearly 100% of fresh tomato import used to meet domestic demand are sourced from Burkina Faso. Now in the studio with me is Caleb Ziblim of Joy News Research. So Caleb, let's start with a breakdown of Ghana's tomato sector.
Yes, Pearl. So we know that Ghana does not meet its entire tomato production that's meant for local consumption. So Ghana produces only 38% of the tomatoes we need for the national consumption. And in 2024, Ghana's local demand or national demand was 1.3 million metric tons. Our production was 500,000 metric tons. So there's a shortfall of about 700 or almost 800,000 metric tons, and that's about 62% give or take. So Ghana produces just 38% of the tomatoes we need.
38% you say. So what makes Burkina Faso such a major player?
So Burkina Faso is the closest neighbor where we can source tomato from. If you look at the data, Ghana sources its tomatoes mainly from Burkina Faso and some European countries like the Netherlands. But then almost 90% of tomatoes are sourced from Burkina Faso. That's our neighbors up north. And if you look at the data in 2024, Ghana imported $22 million worth of fresh tomatoes, and almost 99% of that was from Burkina Faso. So Burkina Faso is a major player when it comes to Ghana's tomato supply.
Thank you so much, Caleb Ziblim of Joy News Research. Now, on how soon consumers can expect prices of the commodity to stabilize following the sharp surge recorded in recent days, the leader of the Tomato Traders Association, Eric Nanatufo, whose voice we heard earlier before Caleb, had this response.
And supply normally determine the price of a commodity. So when the demand is high, automatically the price will go up. So this will take a gradual process. It will come down automatically, it will come down. But right now, I cannot assure you that today or tomorrow, prices of tomato will be this or this. But automatically, we are working on it so that the prices of tomato will be stabilized.
Let's go into the telephone lines right now and speak to the communications officer of GUTA, Jeff Kwame Gyasi. Grateful for your time on the show this evening, Mr. Gyasi. Now, the tomato sellers are in a dilemma whether to risk it all and go to Burkina Faso and get more tomatoes, or whether to ration the ones they have in Ghana like they are doing right now. What will be GUTA's advice? Hello, Jeff. Unfortunately, we do not have Jeff on the line. We're still trying to get him back on the line to have a conversation with us. We're trying to find out what the tomato traders should be doing as of now. And as we speak, we've been taking you around the country. The situation is not any different in the Ashanti region, for instance, where my colleague Irabna Akwe reported to us in the afternoon that some eateries have started increasing their prices because the tomatoes are now being sold to them at exorbitant prices. We're still trying to get Jeff on the line. Do we have Jeff now?
And if you're listening to Newsnight, you can join us with your comments via our WhatsApp line 055-111-1997, 055-111-1997.
Let's go to the Electricity Company of Ghana, ECG, which is attributing recent widespread power outages to transformer failures, citing substation failures and upgrades in parts of Accra and Greater Kumasi. Well, this follows planned and emergency maintenance works across regions, causing temporary outages. ECG's General Manager of External Communications, Charles Ni Ayiku, has been providing some details.
We have taken some actions as we are aware of the current increase in outages within some of our operational areas. We experienced some cable blasts in the Ashanti region, which affected about 60 to 70% of our customers in that region. And as I speak to you, I'm sure within some few moments there should be the power should be back online as engineers are working to make sure that power is restored. We've also done some transformer injection so as to manage the current capacity at these areas where there are transformer issues. So we deployed third-party contractors to help in this regard. Yes, so we are making sure that everything will be sorted out and our customers would have power so that they can go about their normal duties.
Well, however, the Public Utilities Regulatory Commission, PRC, has disputed ECG's claims, stating that transformer failures are not the primary cause of outages. PRC's analysis shows most outages are due to load management operations and faults unrelated to transformers.
We know that once in a while there are one or two maintenances that goes on across by the utilities, and they're taken by the utilities. Maybe upgrade of some few transformers, and also some works, annual works that the utilities are required to undertake. So what we are seeing currently is actually upgrades of few transformers, the utilities trying as much as possible to replace some obsolete equipment and also improve their equipment so that they can deliver better services to the consumer. So that's what we are seeing, and it's nothing unusual and untoward. And over the last year, the utilities also received considerable investments through the MITO, that's the multi-year tariff order, and then they've gotten access to some funding to also buy some few equipment, and they are trying as much as possible to improve or to deliver improved services to consumers. So it's just a temporary maintenance schedule period for some of the utilities, and that's what is costing some of the outages here and there. But within the shortest possible time, I mean, things will get back to normal, and the consumer would be guaranteed uninterrupted power supply from the utilities.
My colleague Michael Ashale joins me in the studio with details of the ECG statement. Michael, what more can you tell us from what's contained in there?
Well, we know that the ECG informed their customers and the general public in some areas that the outage being experienced is as a result of an underground cable fault at the Rage Bulk Supply Point in Kumasi near Georgia Hotel. What they tell us that these are some of the places that were affected. And if you have been living in this place, and possibly you have seen some of these: Kronum, Afrancho, Busia Kroa, Breman, Adonko Company, Affordable Housing, Mushizongo, Airport Runabout, areas like Dr. Mensah, Ashtown, Town Hall, Roman Hill, Bompata, and some other areas in that ECG went ahead also to assure affected customers that their engineers are working to rectify the fault and restore supply.
Well, thank you very much, Michael. The situation, which began recently, has left power consumers searching for answers, as some businesses have already started feeling the impact. Parts of Achimota, Tantra Hills and Mile 7 have been heavily affected by this worrying development. My colleague Fatal Bayaga spent some time in the area over the weekend and filed this report.
Rahina Tatahiru manages a washing bay in the central part of Tantra Hills in Accra. The business had been running smoothly until recently. Her business has now been plunged into difficulty due to frequent power fluctuations.
3 days ago, the power went off here. And whenever that happens, we are unable to work. The workers also need money to buy food. The electricity keeps flickering.
For many residents, the power situation is unusual, as the area has over the years enjoyed relatively stable electricity supply. Areas including Mile 7, Achimota, Tantra Hills and surrounding communities are all affected.
When I realized the power was flickering, I decided to switch off my fridge and TV set. But the items in the fridge had already spoiled.
When you come to the house, we store a lot of goods in the fridge and all that. So for 3 days now, our meat and then chicken got spoiled and all that, and it really cost us.
We use lights to do everything, and when the power goes off, no one comes here again, and it has slowed down our business.
They are therefore calling for urgent intervention to help keep their businesses afloat.
Oh, like I want them to work on it for us. They should work on it for us because it is affecting our business.
I want them to do something quick about it because we depend on this, and if they slow down, we have nowhere, and we the employee, we have nowhere to go.
For small business owners like Rahinatu and Prince, stable power is not just a convenience, but the lifeline for their livelihoods. As they wait for a solution, many hope the challenges will be addressed quickly before the impact on businesses becomes even more severe. For Joy News, Fatima Bayaga, Tantra Hills, Accra.
Well, in the Ashanti regional capital, Kumasi, residents and business operators say they're experiencing persistent power outages that have disrupted daily life and economic activities for several weeks. Local businesses describe the impact as severe, noting that the cut in supply of power is hindering productivity. The power consumers are appealing for swift action to restore reliable power supply and prevent further disruptions.
I also charge phones for my customers, and I take a little amount from the charging. Now the light is off.
I don't know, they should give us a timetable, whether we are back to doing so or what, because every day, not once, not twice.
Well, you had some residents in Kumasi that have been joined via telephone. We have Richmond Roxon, is a spokesperson and head of communications at the Energy Ministry. Good evening, thank you for your time here on Newsnight. You've already explained to us what the issue is, but let me ask you, are we in a power crisis?
Good evening to you, and good evening to your cherished listeners. No, we don't have any power crisis. What it is that at this point, our generation capacity is intact. We have adequate, or let me say sufficient power supply when it comes to our generation. And so we expect everyone to have consistent power in their homes or offices. In the last couple of days, the ministry has noted concerns from public, from specific areas. And these outages as a result of various reasons. And so if you take an area like Tesano, there was a challenge with the 11 kV feeder, and that affected Tesano, Akwiteman, Boti Warehouse, and surrounding areas. That issue was resolved yesterday, and so if you speak to residents there, I'm sure that power supply would have improved tremendously. If you go to an area like Dodowa, there was a challenge with the underground cable. The technical team had to trace it. They detected it, and then that has been fixed. That happened Friday night, and at the time it happened, they had to move part of the load to Adenta. And so we had some parts of Dodowa, Amahia, and surrounding areas not having power supply. That was resolved yesterday. And so from yesterday around 7:50 p.m. to date, Dodowa and its environs have had stable supply of power. If we go to Achimota, for Achimota, we also had a challenge with the substation, had to do with a transformer to be specific. That challenge was resolved today. And so areas like Tantra Hill, Mile 7, Achimota should have stable power supply as has been before this issue. For Adenta, we have an issue with transformer overload. You say transformer overload, basically the areas have developed so fast and demand for electricity have gone up. And so we have to upgrade the transformer by bringing in one with bigger capacity. We've scheduled to complete that work by Friday. And so as a ministry, we are monitoring the works of ECG to ensure that that is done. Those are the pockets of areas that have complained with electricity supply. But generally, if we speak to people, I'm sure that they will attest that some areas do not experience these. You speak to residents of East Legon, Spintex, you go to Dansoman, you go to parts of Oyarifa, you go to those areas, they will not complain that there's a challenge in Accra. And so it's not as if the ministry hasn't taken notice. We've been monitoring, we've been working closely with the technical teams, and these issues are being resolved.
Richmond, Kenneth here. The ECG on one hand is attributing this widespread power outages to transformer failures. Meanwhile, PURC is disputing that, saying that transformer failures are not the primary cause of these outages. Who should we believe?
I'm not sure that ECG and PURC they're saying two different things. What Shafiq said, Dr. Shafiq said, was that will not be the only challenge. As I mentioned, if you heard me earlier, we've had challenges with certain areas when it comes to transformers. As we speak now, part of Sapperman has a problem with transformer that will be changed first thing tomorrow morning. And so, yes, you will require investment, like Shafiq said, to be able to deal with these challenges. Even if you are purchasing transformers, or you are purchasing conductors, or you are upgrading cables, that still has to do with investment. And so both are not mutually exclusive. They complement each other.
And Roxanne, just want to find out, how soon should consumers expect the situation to normalize?
Well, as soon as possible. As I mentioned, the issue of Dodowa was dealt with yesterday. Hashimota has been dealt with today. Tantra Hill, those areas, the Tesano, we dealt with it yesterday. Adenta will be dealt with on Friday by upgrading it. So when you take areas like Shire Hills, those places that in the last 3 weeks had challenges with power, have power now. And so those issues have been dealt with. And so I can tell you on authority that if you go back to the residents that have been complained in the last 48 hours, in the next 48 hours, their feedback will be completely different. And as a government, you have the commitment of Honorable Dr. John Jinapo that the people of Ghana will continue to experience stable power supply. I mean, we took this sector when they had 700 megawatt deficits in generation as of December 2024. But today, that story has changed. And so we'll continue to address these outages to ensure that at all material time, the objective of His Excellency the President will be achieved.
As you work on bringing the situation under control, should we expect a timetable from you so that at least consumers can plan?
No, there's no need for a timetable. What it is that, if you have a fault, if you're shedding loads, then you can put together a timetable because you are certain that you have this deficit in power generation. And so you have to, for want of a better word, you have to distribute power so that all areas can benefit from that. If you have a challenge with, let's say, underground cable, that has nothing to do with load shedding. That is a fault that you fix immediately. And so you cannot say that you need a timetable because it is not as if you don't have power. The power is available, but getting the power to the consumer through the distribution line is where the challenge is. If you are talking about load shedding, that means you are dealing with generation. We don't have any issue with generation of power as we speak. We have a generation part where it's made up of VRA, the IPPs. You have the transmission part, which is handled by Gridco, and you have the distribution part, which is what ECG and NETCO handles. The distribution challenge cannot lead to load shedding.
Now, Roxanne, coincidentally, all these challenges you have enumerated seem to be occurring simultaneously. Why do you think that is the case?
All this, in Accra alone, there are almost 200 feeders. And so if you have over 200 feeders and you have 3 or 4 experiencing a fault or damage at a time, if you do the percentages, you are looking at less than 5%. And when it comes to the distribution or generation of electricity, some of these outages are expected all over the world. Systems fail at a point. And so if you have system failure, you have a challenge with the system, that is expected. The most important point is that what measures have you put in place to deal with a problem immediately they happen? And that is what this government has been doing. In the last 3 years, in fact, the last 5 years, before 2024, ECG's maintenance was practically non-existent. In the last 1 year, ECG has enhanced its maintenance. You've had the government support ECG. Even last year alone, the government supported ECG with over 200 transformers. And so these challenges that we're experiencing are being handled. And I'm certain that in the next couple of days, this will be a thing of the past.
Richmond Roxon, spokesperson and head of communications at the Energy Ministry. Thank you so much for speaking to us on Newsnight.
In other stories tonight, the Attorney General's office has discontinued an illegal mining case linked to the fatal shooting of a 13-year-old Pius in Ketia at the Adelekezo mining site in the Western region. The boy was allegedly shot by private security personnel of GES mining company during a confrontation with community members over polluted water sources and destroyed farmlands. 8 Chinese and their Ghanaian counterparts have since been discharged after the AG's office told the Takoradi Circuit Court 2 the police did not provide enough evidence to prosecute an illegal mining charge. The following report has more.
In September 2025, 8 Chinese nationals working for GES Mining Company Limited were arrested after they were found engaging in environmental infractions at Adelekezo, a farming community in the Nzema East municipality of the Western region. They were later released after unsubstantiated claims they had a license to mine. The continuous pollution of water bodies and degradation of farmlands continued in Adelekezo. But before police got there, 13-year-old Pius in Ketia had been gunned down by private security personnel of the company. Close to 3 months after the case was called in court, the Attorney General's office has filed to discontinue the case, citing lack of evidence. The police did not investigate the murder of the boy, neither did they file any charges of his murder in court. The community members are not happy.
We need justice for the boy in Ketia.
God should let the truth prevail. We should demonstrate that Ghana at least recognizes the rule of law. The boy's painful murder was not captured in the court proceedings. His mother is devastated and she keeps crying all the time.
Mother of the boy tells Love News the owner of the mining site has since approached with a compensation of 50,000 cedis, which she rejected. The miner is also planning to go back to site to continue his mining operations. Reporting for Joy News, Erastus Asaredonko, Adelekezo, Western Region.
Let's do business, and George Riafi is here with the latest. George, take us away.
Hi, Kenneth, and coming up in business, government highlights significant turnaround of the economy a year after taking over, with majority of key indicators dropping to record levels. And tax expert Francis Timoboy describes as worrying declining revenue numbers for last year, especially from the oil and gas sector. The business news on Newsnight is brought to you by MTN Business. Welcome to the new world of business. Kingdom Books and Stationery, your number one-stop shop for all your office essentials, Sinter's Tanks and Pepsodent Herbal and Charcoal.
The other day, I visited Kweku at his spunky new office to congratulate him on opening his business. And man, was I impressed. The business is quick. The sales, customers, everything is just working seamlessly. The secret? He said,
it's MTN Business Broadband. In this fast-paced environment, we need fast and reliable internet to support all business types. No laggy online meetings, great download and upload speeds, impeccable business management systems, all inclusive. I mean, you can have it all.
Sharp! I signed on immediately.
To enable your business stay ahead and stay connected, make sure you're signed on to the best internet made just for businesses. MTN Business Broadband. Sign up today on broadband.mtn.com.gh and manage your account on my MTN app. Call 0244 308 111 for more information.
MTN.
Son, we are so proud of you for setting up this hospital. I really love those hospital beds and waiting chairs. By the way, did you import them?
No, Dad, I didn't. I actually got them from Kingdom Books and Stationery right here in Ghana.
Wow. We also bought our office supplies, safes, executive desks and chairs from Kingdom, and they gave us expert advice on how to set up our office.
Guys, that makes 3 of us. I also got our sofa and bedroom sets, plus our dining hall furniture for our new home from Kingdom.
Wow, Mom, that makes 4 of us. I usually get my stationery items from Kingdom, and my teacher also mentioned that our classroom furniture was provided by Kingdom.
So there you have it. Whenever you're thinking about setting up an office or acquiring furniture for your home, etc., Kingdom Books and Stationery should be your first port of call. With over 40 years experience in the industry, we stock and supply a wide variety of globally sourced office and home furniture, stationery and equipment. Visit our head office, Takweje, Osu near the Osu Cemetery, Tema near Community 4, Takoradi opposite Vijay Mays Plaza, Cape Coast University Bookshop, Spintex Road near Absa Bank, Atomic Centerpoint Mall, Winneba University Campus, KNUST, the University Bookshop, and Santasi in Kumasi. You can also visit our shop online, www.kingdomstoreonline.com. Hurry while stock lasts. For further inquiries, contact us on 050-162-0810 or 0302-764-101. Email info@kingdomgh.com. Kingdom Books and Stationery Limited, where quality and affordability is assured. Terms and conditions apply.
Cast your mind back to 2022. The prices were rising. The stress was high. Every liter of fuel felt like a sacrifice. Do you remember who stepped forward first? When others were comfortable with high prices, Star Oil chose you. We cut our own profits so you could keep your AC on, keep your engines running, and keep your life moving without the heavy burden. We gave you room to breathe when things felt tight. Because of you, our star savers, we became #1. Today, the pumps are a battleground. Others are finally cutting prices because they have to. But Star Oil, we do it because we want to. Don't just chase a price, remember a friendship. We were there for you then, and with new innovations coming your way, we are here for you now. Star Oil, still quality and affordable fuels for all.
If you want quality, this be where you belong. Hey, tough, hey, strong. Oh, gonna shout and sing the song. When the sun they hot, syntax no break. When the rain they fall, still no shake. Builders they choose and plumbers they prove. Any project you they start.
Are you ready to revolutionize the future of agriculture? The Ministry of Trade, Agribusiness and Industry, in partnership with the Ghana Exim Bank, proudly presents the Ghana Agrotech Fair 2026. The fair will feature exhibitions, market linkages, masterclasses, and workshops on climate-smart farming, digital tools, and export development. Join us at the Black Star Square from March 17 to March 19 at 9 a.m. each day. The President of the Republic, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, will be assisted by the Minister for Trade, Agribusiness and Industry, the Honorable Elizabeth Ofosue-Jari, and the Chief Executive of the Ghana Exim Bank, Honorable Sylvester Adina Mensah, to open the fair. Government agencies, agrotech firms, startups, farmers, financial institutions, and the general public are all welcome. To exhibit or for inquiries, call 0559 679326 or 0242 585419. Media partners: Daily Graphic, Media General, Radio Gold, City FM, Channel 1 TV, and the Multimedia Group. Ghana Agrotech Fair 2026, transforming agribusiness through local innovation and technology.
Welcome back to Business on Newsnight. Now, government is insisting that it has turned around the economy a year after taking over. There is more in the following Business Desk report.
The Finance Ministry, in a statement issued today, argued that policies introduced by this administration
has helped to improve majority of key economic indicators. The Finance Ministry, for instance, cited inflation, which had dropped from more than 20% in December 2024 to 3.8% for the month of January 2026, as one of the major turnaround for this economy. The cedi's record appreciation for last year, as well as Treasury bills rates now in the single-digit range. The ministry in a statement maintained that the turnaround can also be attributed to improved fiscal position, strengthened by revenue mobilization and tighter expenditure controls. It further added that the low Treasury bills rate has helped reduce the cost of credit for the country. Government in the statement also argued that all sectors of the economy have shown some measurable improvements. It went ahead to indicate that government remains committed to consolidating the recent gains achieved with focus on creating jobs, sustained growth and long-term economic transformation.
And that is a Business Desk report. Now, tax expert Francis Timoboy has described as worrying the declining revenue numbers for last year. New data from the Bank of Ghana showed that the government missed out on its revenue target for the first 11 months of last year by more than 6%. Mr. Boy was worried about the collections coming from the oil and gas sector.
6.4% below target, not too catastrophic in macro terms. In many fiscal programs, a deviation between 5 to 8% can be absorbed, especially if expenditure discipline is maintained. So whilst government is missing its target on revenue, we expect that the expenditure side can be tightly managed, and then they can sail through. Real concern is the oil and gas collapse. 64% below target is quite worrying, and most of the expenses that come from the free SHS we funded from oil and gas. So this is not a marginal variance. It's a big volatility, and I think that it shows how our economy is largely dependent on commodities.
Francis Timoboy is a tax expert. Now, President John Mahama has appointed the officer in charge of port operations at the Customs Division of the Ghana Revenue Authority as the acting commissioner of the Customs Division of the Ghana Revenue Authority, that is Aaron Kano. Now, this was contained in a statement issued by the Ghana Revenue Authority a while ago. Mr. Kano takes over from Brigadier General Glover Ashon Annan, who until recently was the commissioner of the Ghana Revenue Authority in terms of the Customs Division. And this is part of several initiatives that government is rolling out to reform or try and deal with challenges facing the sector when it comes to revenue mobilization. Now, the Food and Beverage Association of Ghana has described as prudent government decision to ban the importation of coconut oil through their flour border. The association, however, maintains that government must extend this ban to other land borders in the country. The Food and Beverage Association action said that action by the Ministry of Finance should go a long way to save a lot of businesses that are operating in the country. John Awoni is chairman of the association.
This directive must be extended to Olibo border, to Sankansi, and all other land borders. And indeed, we also strongly recommend that the scope of the directive be beyond transit goods to a complete ban on the entry of the affected product through the land borders into Ghana, where transit or for direct consumption. A partial restriction that targets only transit consignments may inadvertently create loopholes that can be exploited, leading to continuous smuggling, under declaration, and unfair practices. This bold and strong initiative will lead to protect local industries and jobs, promote fair trade and competitive neutrality, curb smuggling and illicit trade, enhance revenue mobilization for national development and the government of Ghana, and we stand with them continuously for further collaborations for national development.
John Awoni is the chairman of the Food and Beverage Association. Now, Carl Bank ended last year posting some strong growth in its operations. There's a strong growth according to its 2025 financials, was fueled by strong capital rebound, material asset quality recovery, and sustainable growth. The development resulted in profit after tax going up by more than 16% to reach 481 million Ghana cedis. The bank also made some strong strides when it comes to its non-performing loans, as reduced significantly to 17%. And by way of some news that just came in a while ago, that President John Mahama has appointed the officer in charge of port operations, that is Aaron Kano, as the acting commissioner of the Customs Division of the Ghana Revenue Authority with immediate effect. And that's all for business on Newsnight. Kenneth, back to you.
Well, thank you very much, George. Let's go to Parliament, Pearl.
The minority is tonight accusing the acting Deputy Chief Executive of Cocoa Board in charge of Finance and Administration, Ato Boateng, of conflict of interest in the discharge of his duties at the company. According to the minority, Cocoa Board is deliberately depriving PBC of funds, while Ato Boateng is allegedly diverting the money to keep Atlas Commodities afloat. Addressing the media in Parliament, Member of Parliament for Ota for Vincent Eko Asefua says there are clear conflict of interest concerns involving Ato Boateng, which he says is affecting the operations of PBC.
Public records show that Mr. Boateng previously served as the Chief Executive Officer of Atlas Commodities Limited in 2018. And I have in my hands here a document from the Registrar General's Department that shows who has been the owner and the directors of the Atlas Commodities Limited. They are all here with me. There are documents that I also shared on my Facebook wall. Today, that same person occupies one of the most powerful financial and administrative offices within Cocoa Board. The institution mandated under law to regulate cocoa buying companies. Under the Ghana Cocoa Board Act, Cocoa Board is a regulator. It is not a competitor. You cannot be a referee and be a player at the same time. You cannot be a regulator and be a competitor at the same time. Article 284 of the 1992 Constitution clearly prohibits a public officer from placing himself in a position where his personal interest conflicts or is likely to conflict with his official duties.
That's the MP for Old Tafo, Vincent Eko Asefua, who is also claiming that Atlas Commodities Limited is currently allegedly operating in some warehouses belonging to PBC.
Under Cocoa Board regulations, each licensed buying company must operate within warehouses registered in its own name. Warehouses registered under PBC must not be used by another company for storage, grading, sealing, or processing of cocoa. We also have in our hands receipts that actually shows that some of the sealings were done at the PBC warehouses belonging to Atlas Commodities Limited. These cocoa were found at the warehouses belonging to PBC, but the sealings are sealings for Atlas Commodities Limited. And these are some of the sealings that we found at the PBC warehouses. In fact, these are documents that have also been lodged with the Kajabi police station, a report or a complaint that was made by the officers of PBC.
So my colleague Fatal Bayaga was at the press conference where the Otafu NP made these allegations. Fatal, what more did Vincent say?
Pearl, Vincent Eko Asefua noted that some workers of the produce buying company, thus PBC, have not been paid for about a year, attributing the situation to alleged schemes by Ato Boateng, which he claims have deprived the company of much-needed funds. Take a listen.
There are also troubling reports that some PBC workers reportedly have not been paid for extended periods, at least for a period of 1 year. The reason why PBC workers are not paid is that when government gets the money, it does not give the money to PBC to go and buy cocoa, so that government will be able to get some margins off it. If you get margins, that is when you'll be able to get money to be able to pay your workers. Now PBC is starved, is deprived with resources that will allow them to be able to operate, and those monies are given to LBCs. LBCs, a chunk of it belong to Ato Boateng, who is a deputy chief executive of Cocoa Board.
Well, Fatal, so beyond the allegations, he's also been making some demands.
Absolutely, Pearl. So he stated that public officers should not benefit from illegal systems that they've created at the expense of the state. So the Old Trafford lawmaker is therefore calling for a full criminal investigation by the Office of the Special Prosecutor and a constitutional conflict of interest determination by the Commission on Human Rights and Administrative Justice, among other demands. Take a listen to him.
Cocoa farmers are sacrificing daily to sustain the economy. Regulatory leadership must not create even the appearance of benefiting from the same system they supervise. You cannot benefit from the same system that you yourself is supervising. You cannot create a system whereby you will deprive the state from operating to be able to earn margins, to be able to give to the state, so that the state can also pay its workers, and direct or indirectly siphon those monies into the pockets of an individual. Which individual is Mr. Atubuate? As a minority, we demand the following. We demand a full criminal investigation by the Office of the Special Prosecutor. We demand a constitutional conflict of interest determination by SHRAJ. We also demand a forensic audit of warehouse registrations and cocoa movement records. The minority is also demanding for a full disclosure from Cocoa Board, national security, and relevant authorities.
Homes swallowed by the sea, fishing stopped by fear, and families pushed closer to displacement. In Ketu South Municipality, coastal communities are slowly sinking as tidal waves advance inland. But a new sea defense project offers fragile hope. Mahmoud Muhammad Nuruddin reports from Salakope in today's Climate Evidence.
By the time the waves retreat, there's little left to save in Salakope and nearby coastal communities in Ketu South. Homes have been destroyed, canoes lie broken, families are scattered. For many young people here, now they travel to neighboring towns just to earn a little money if they can. Not far away, Yekwe Gali sits on the ground with a child on her lap. Even here, she says, it's not safe.
Sometimes we are cooking and the sea splashes into the fire and puts it out. A mouse even bit my hand. Sometimes all I can do is to cry.
Community leader Gideon Tete points to what used to be home.
The community from where I stand is far into the sea now. That's about 500 meters away from this place. That is where the community used to be.
Across Ghana's southeastern coast, from Keta to Adina, more than 10,000 structures have been destroyed. Experts say the sea moves inland by about 2 meters every year. Changing weather patterns is driving stronger waves and rising sea levels. But now residents say hope has returned. In July 2025, Phase 2 of the Blekosu Coastal Protection Project began. It will protect 8 kilometers of coastline, including Salakope.
I must say that I am impressed about what is going on here, because I've been receiving payment certificates in the office. I've been asking myself, is the work really going on like the way these payment certificates keep coming? And I decided that today I'll pay a visit to ensure that whatever payment certificate that comes to my office will be signed. The actual work has been done. And truly, I've come to see that the work is really going on. Looking at the staff here, I think they are on track. They are even ahead of time. So I'm quite impressed with what is going on here. But still, we will encourage them. Not that I'm here encouraging them and then now they will know Minister came here, so everything is fine. No.
A report by Mohamed Nuruddin.
This story is brought to you by Joy News in partnership with CDK in Ghana, University of Ghana Center for Climate Change and Sustainability Studies, with funding from Claire R4I Opportunities Fund.
Well, in other news, a civil society platform for social protection, CSPSP, is warning of a looming crisis as nearly 100,000 beneficiaries under the Labour-Intensive Public Works and Productive Inclusion Programme are still waiting payment. The group says more than 85 million cedis in outstanding wages and grants are pushing vulnerable households deeper into hardship. There is more in this report.
We address the nation today with deep concern and urgency regarding the continued and unacceptable delay in payments to approximately 100,000 beneficiaries under the Labor-Intensive Public Works, LIPW for short, and Productive Inclusion, which is also PI for short. The total outstanding owed to the LIPW beneficiaries alone is approximately 42.5 million dollars, and that of the productive inclusion is 43 million dollars. Ladies and gentlemen, behind the figures are real households. Civil society platform for social protection therefore calls on the government of Ghana through the Ministry of Finance and the Ministry of Local Government, Chieftaincy and Religious Affairs to immediately release all outstanding payment. Delays have become unsustainable. Vulnerable households cannot absorb prolonged income disruption.
Well, let's bring you some of the comments you've been sending us. This one says, we are begging the tomato sellers. How can just a week create shortage? They should not do politics with this and be quick to start increasing the prices of tomatoes and create disaffection for the NDC government and be forcing them to act. And that's from Francis in Accra. Nana Ekuamwa Boatin in Ablikoma Central says that we are paying so much for electricity supply, but due to the ineptitude on the side of the management, and at the end of the day, consumers suffer. And he goes on to say that the students who unleashed mayhem on their colleague must face the full rigors of the law. Such lawlessness should not be entertained in our schools. And the final one says, Pualugu Dam, when constructed, will be the solution to the tomato trade problems. I hope the current government prioritizes the dam construction for the good of all Ghanaians. And that's from Dipku Ishmael.
And that brings us to the end of News 9 tonight. Thank you very much for being a part of the show. My name is Kenneth. Gyasi.
My name is Ofori.
Have a good evening.